I'm very happy because you are here. Okay, it's not a special room, it's not so fancy, but we are very open and we are very happy because you are here now. I invite my colleague to present everybody from you, and I hope for the next event will be many people and with a good energy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If somebody wants coffee, please tell me because I'm on catering. Is that bad? Not only vice versa. Thank you very much.
So, welcome everybody. My name is Norbert Andor and I'm working at the French Institute. And this year the French Institute, my director, Mr. Christophe Gomez, has taken over the presidency of the EUNIC cluster, Bucharest. And so to tell you some words about this project and why are we here. Because we have applied for a funding from UNIC Global. UNIC is the European Network of Cultural Institutes, and we have received a grant, which we were very happy about because we were the only European cluster which has been granted a grant for supporting focus on the film production in the Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. This is how this showcase came alive, and this is how we have our guests here today. We have started the showcase yesterday with 3 movies, and we will have another 4 today. And I would like to ask my guests to present themselves, actually.
In English?
In English or in Romanian?
Both, I guess, right? Bună ziua, sunt Cristina Flutur, sunt actriță și am făcut ceva teatru și un pic de film. Hello, my name is Cristina Flutur, I'm an actress and I have a little bit of experience both in theater and in film.
Hello, good morning. I'm Mirosław Dębiński. I'm from Poland. I'm a film director and film producer. I represent AaRC Film Studio, the private company, and also Dr. World Foundation, the documentary foundation, which is raising the project World from Dawn Till Dusk. We present today two parts of this project, Chișinău from Dawn Till Dusk and Kiev from
Bună ziua, mă numesc coleg Iordiv, sunt coproducător la filmul care a fost prezentat ieri.
Hello, my name is Olga. I'm from Ukraine. I'm a producer. One of most famous cases that I'm busy with now is Oleg Sentsov, a Ukrainian director who was from Crimea and who is now in custody in Russian jail, unfortunately.
Could you tell us some words about that project you have been working on and the results are to be seen today?
The project World from Dawn Till Dusk starts in 2011. It was the period of Polish presidency in Europe. And the idea of the project based on exchange experience between Polish documentary filmmakers, teachers, and local young students, young filmmakers. The idea is to focus on very simple, in observation style, part of the life of the city, and each student can make the short etude, 3-4 minutes etude, and the collection of this etude together gives us the portrait of the city. And the portrait of the city we call the city from dawn till dusk. And we start in 5 cities at the beginning. In 2011, it was Moscow, Kiev, Minsk, and also Beijing and Tokyo. And the next year, we made 4 more cities. It was Chișinău, it was Erevan in Romania, and Tbilisi. And this year we make Kolkata in India and Baku in Azerbaijan. And it gives for 12 cities in the collection World from Dawn till Dusk. It is very interesting because this is not point of view Polish filmmakers, abroad directors, but it is focused from local people who live there, who know the city the best. And we only help to give young filmmakers the language of documentary observation, and it gives quite interesting result. You can see these 2 examples today evening. And of course, another advantage is to compare these different cities. For example, Moscow and Kiev, or Tokyo and Chișinău, and it's completely different works with the culture and everything. But if we concentrate on the people, on the very simple emotion, we can see that the sadness or love in Tokyo and in Chișinău is the same. And the roots of humanity is very similar. And this is very interesting to compare this approach. Yeah, I think it's a base idea of the project.
Was there a common line in each? I mean, the idea of the director, which was the idea of directing for each and every movie? Was there something in common you wanted to show, or?
We concentrate on the very simple observation of people living life, and we try to not only observe the cover, the surface of the living from the touristic point of view, like from the window or traveling bus, but we try. Of course, we push our students to observe, to make observation inside, in the people at home, and the ordinary living sometimes give us more information than the basic statistic information, how big the city is and how is the industry, etc. And we try to show the whole universe in the very small drop of water. It's the main idea, and the observation is made by local people, but those people who knows very well the life in this part of the world.
And how did the local public receive actually the movies?
Sometimes they are very surprised. Yeah, because very often when we show the city from dawn till dusk, they are surprised, and they said, "Oh, we don't see. We live all our life here, and we can't see in this way. Yeah, in this, but." It helped them to break their imagination, the cliché of the city, and this is also the advantage of this program.
În continuare, bune idei europene pentru coproducții, pentru programe culturale coproducții în Moldova, România și Ucraina. Eu aș accentua eficiența acestei minunate idei.
So I salute this idea of having this conversation, this meeting, in order to improve the idea of co-production between the three states, but not only.
Și Moldova și Ucraina astăzi, pentru coproducție cu România, nu atât cere investiții din partea României, cât statut. Deci, dacă te indic, așa să nu continuați. Vreau să vă dau un exemplu acum actual, fiindcă eu acum mă întorc chiar din Ucraina.
So currently I'm working in the Ukraine.
Eu am fost invitat pentru un proiect foarte mare, o comandă de stat, așa numită, în Ucraina, Occupation, film artistic, lungmetraj, cu participarea mai multor țări, Ucraina, China, Canada, Lituania, Rusia, Moldova.
So I'm currently working on a co-production between many other states, China, Lithuania.
Aceste țări erau participante în acest proiect și nu oficial în coproducție.
Who were at first participating on this project. They weren't co-producers.
Ucraina tot efortul și-a dorit și noi am activat pentru a realiza o coproducție cu România. Dar fără cerințe de finanțare de partea României.
But the Ukrainian part wanted to offer the possibility of a co-production with Romania as well, without any budget to be offered from the Romanian part.
Vorbind despre Ucraina acum, eu, deci, paralel, ar fi, am în vedere și Moldova. Deci, Ucraina, acest proiect, avea nevoie de o susținere de un statut european. Și România, cu statutul ei de țară foarte cinematogratică în Europa, ei au avut nevoie, producătorii mei din Ucraina, au avut nevoie de aceste contacte și pentru a susține financiar acest proiect din Ucraina, numai pentru ideea că este în coproducție cu România.
So the idea was also to have a European partner, the support of a European country, of an EU country, and this is why we have we wished actually to have the support of Romania in co-producing the movie in order to give it to improve its statute.
Fiindcă având contacte profi cu personale cu țara cinematografică, bine văzută astăzi în Europa și toată lumea, de fapt, este o șansă de a te ridica mai sus decât interesul numai țării Ucraina astăzi.
Since Romania is very well received as in the domain of cinematography, movie making, it would have helped the project.
Și asta costă. Deci, participarea României în Ucraina, eu văd foarte fructoasă așa, cu mari perspective în principiu, fiindcă și Ucraina deține teritorii pentru filmare foarte bune, și Ucraina are un set de actori foarte buni, și Ucraina are o cultură și națională, și cosmopolită, și diversificare, și multinațională. Deci, tot folosirea, sunt multe posibilități pentru tema asta de coproducție cinematografică.
And I think the Ukraine has also the logistics, the possibilities to offer for co-production.
Cu părere de rău, acolo unde filmam noi, unde eram în expediție Centrul Războiului, cu adevărat s-a împlinit tot subiectul meu din acest scenariu, ocupația Ucrainei, și noi ne-am retras. Deci filmul a fost este în conservație astăzi, în perioada necunoscută.
Unfortunately, the war broke out, and unfortunately, the idea of the film, of the movie, came true. So at the present moment, we are on a hold with the production.
Deci, pentru acest proiect foarte costistor, de fapt, rămâne unica șansă de coproducție cu alte țări, ca de schimbat un pic orientarea spre orientația asta a interesului. Deci dacă vor fi mai mult interese din alte țări străine, din țări europene, da, acest proiect se va realiza în alte... Nu ne putem întoarce acolo de filmat, povestea totul distrusă, totul bombardat. Da. Și deci, pentru Ucraina, exact tot așa, rămâne foarte actuală filmă cu producție internaționale, fiindcă nu se caută atât de bani cât este nevoie de un ajutor din partea României de mers pe acel drum, pe aceste căi care de să le cunoașteți. Începând cu festivalul.
So I think it's very important, this type of collaboration, because it can offer a better position for the Ukrainian filmmaking, especially also with the participation of such movies on festivals.
Eu îmi doresc mult un proiect de coproducție Ucraina-România și Moldova, care chiar l-am adus în filmele din București și sperăm să găsim contactele necesare.
So I really hope that we will have the chance to have the possibility of a co-production. And now I would take the questions to our other two guests, the Romanian guests. One of them is Ada Solomon, whom you probably all know, and ask her how easy it is to do a co-production with a non-EU country, for example.
It's the idea. Bună ziua, hello. To do a co-production with a non-EU country is not the thing. Romania, unfortunately, is not the most co-production friendly country in the world. And actually, this is the main issue. Because we don't have a special interest into minority co-productions. We don't have a special program, not even with Moldova, which would have been something really very, very close. I mean, we are looking around and we look at the big countries that they do have their mini treaties, like France, Germany, that really gives a special corridor for the co-productions in between these two countries. We are looking at what is happening in the small countries of ex-Yugoslavia, where even if there is not something really institutional, they really do on a priority call this kind of collaboration in between. Despite all the problems and despite all the political issues that they had in between Bosnia and Croatia, in between Slovenia and Serbia, and so on and so forth. So unfortunately for us, it's always a struggle to do co-productions. And when you look in the Romanian statistics of the National Film Fund, and you see that there are a number of co-productions, these are the result of the work of the Romanian producers that are luckily, but still I feel very uncomfortable with this. I will tell you afterwards why. So these are my Romanian majority productions that are co-produced with other countries. And why I feel uncomfortable is that we don't work really on a kind of law of reciprocity. And it's very weird, like for instance, to come with a Dutch project and you've been supported twice or three times with a Romanian majority film by Netherlands, and all of a sudden, when you apply with a project that really has an organic link to Romania, it's shot half of it here with lead actors here and so on. It's not accepted. There are some
projects that got support as a minority co-producer from Romania, but they are very few in comparison with the interest of other countries, being them European Union members or not, but it didn't work. I don't know very much about the Ukrainian system and how open Ukraine is towards co-productions, but I know that there are a bunch of very brave producers that are doing the international opening. I think that we will have still quite a way in front of us in order to achieve this. I'm very glad that finally in Moldavia we have nowadays a center of cinematography, and the things at least are starting to be put on the track and to have the institutional umbrella for making possible the institutional relation in between private companies, because it has to be an umbrella. It's not possible without it. Otherwise, of course, that they were unofficial collaborations here and there, but they are tiny and they don't matter in building a kind of really steady exchange of not only of influence, because I think this is coming with the quality. This doesn't have to do with the nationality of the film. This is a matter of the content of the film. And if you look of what happened, for instance, in the last couple of years with the Georgian films, this is because there is a pool of creativity over there, plus, from a certain point, an institution that was backing up the filmmakers and pushing them back from home. So, in this respect, I think that first comes creativity, and then it comes the cooperation with an official support. Because film business is expensive. It's one of the most expensive cultural products if you look around. And then the level of risk is very high. We are not coming from countries that can have a revenue from the market. I don't know the situation of cinema goers at the Ukrainian films. Maybe this would be interesting to consider. In Poland, I know that the Polish people are going to Polish films. In Romania, we do have still a problem and a very low rate of Romanians wanting to see in cinemas Romanian films or even European films, but due to programs like the French Institute is doing and other bodies, this is raising, the interest is raised, the awareness is raised, and then it works. But it needs to be also an institution. It needs to have creativity, but it needs to have an institution on the backup.
Thank you. So let's go to the other example, Michaela, Anthony, and Oleg. How easy was for you, or how did the idea of the movie come to you, actually? Because you are from Austria and you did a co-production, and actually you shot the movie in the Republic of Moldova, in Soroka.
Well, we had a very special case because we were very lucky. We had a mummy at the beginning, the whole budget, so it was quite an easy movie. It's very unusual for the film, like she said already. So I was first in Soroka 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, no, 2 years ago. And it was the first time on the so-called Gypsy Hill. And I had a very long talk with this author, fișarea, and he presented myself, I'm the Gypsy Baron. That's why the movie is called Gypsy Baron. And then I decided I have to make a movie about it. It's so strange for a European to see the Roman people living in that way. Then, a couple of months before, Oleg and we had started with our little company, film production in Chisinau, because I had the strong feeling that Chisinau and the Republic of Moldova is on the film side a sleeping beauty. And I think there are many targets to achieve. There are many stories in history, in right now, in the future. There's a lot to do there. So we created our company, which is called Sonyon. It's one of the first productions in Chisinau. And we have some targets to achieve as well there, because that's another part. But I think the most important thing for the Republic of Moldova on the film side is to get into your image. That's not done till now, and we have to force it and we have to achieve it, and I think we have a chance to be lucky finally the Republic of Moldova has a president who stays for more than a couple of months. So that's how we got to the Gypsy Baron. And well, it was easy in our case, but it's not normal. It's really not normal. But I think we need some co-productions, maybe with France, because there are all the themes between France and Moldova, where they're very similar. And France has money, so we could use it. And the same is, for example, for the Ukrainian with Austria, because the western part of Ukraine was Austrian until 1918. So the Austrian had a kind of feeling for the western Ukraine, and I think we could use that too. Well, and now we stop for the moment. Oleg?
Da, deci eu doresc să spun că asta e, cum am menționat deja Michaela, sunt director la compania de producere de film Soviol Art. Se numește filmul Baronul Românilor, deci a fost primul film pentru mine, cred pentru echipa noastră nu, dar eu am participat pentru prima dată, deci a fost o experiență foarte interesantă de a filma un film despre romi, pentru că ca să cunoști viața lor mai din aproape, cum ei trăiesc, tradițiile lor, pentru că noi cunoaștem că peste tot în Europa romii sunt asociați în permanent cu ceva negativ, dar scopul a fost ca să arătăm nu numai negativ despre ei, pentru că persistă și asta în film, dar la general, adică mai mult ca, spunem, publicul european, să cunoască mai din aproape viața lor, cultura lor, adică pe lângă cele ce se aude despre ei sau și eu, ca cetățean al Moldovei, care locuiesc acolo, pentru mine au fost tot foarte multe lucruri interesante, foarte multe am aflat nou, cum trăiesc romii la noi, ce fel de viață duc, cum își duc copiii, cum avansează, cum muncesc. Deci a fost o experiență foarte interesantă și sperăm că prin intermediul filmului nostru documentar poate să se afle un pic mai mult despre alte laturi ale vieții romilor.
So the gentleman is the director of a production company based in the Republic of Moldova. And it was their first collaboration on this movie, which wanted to show how the Roma people in the Republic of Moldova live, to speak about their traditions, to try to familiarize actually them and with the non-Roma people, and to make the non-Roma people understand their traditions, their culture, and so on and so forth. Did you wanted to apply to a state funding, for example, from the Moldovan Council from the Moldovan Movie Board, or from Austria?
Well, we are not Moldova, but Austria, but it's impossible actually for independent filmmakers or filmmakers which have not a big of record of movies or which aired internationally or had success in Austria. It's that The movie funds in Austria are shortened every year. We have, I think, 20 million fundings for all movies in Austria, which is nothing. And we also have the saying, if somebody like Michael Haneke applies for funds in Austria, you just don't go there and ask for money, because all the money goes to Haneke anyway. We have in Western Europe a lot of businessmen entering the art sector, and that's why we get some money, or on the private hand it's more easy, but on the other hand side, those doing the movies are still artists. And I think here, when you don't get as much money as we might get in Western Europe, it's even more artificial, because you have to think and you have to improvise. How do we get a scene, or how do we get the staff required, or whatever the props we need with less money, because in America it's no problem. But it is a problem also in Austria as a small country, and it's very similar to Europe, although the situation is far better. But it's similar, and I think it's the same in Poland, maybe, and in Ukraine too. So that's the problem. Also, nobody in Austria goes to see Austrian movies. If there's Spider-Man 3 coming, we have like 600,000 moviegoers, and the most successful Austrian film made in Austria ever had 300,000 moviegoers, and this was like 15 years ago. It was Indoors Acht, I think. Yeah. But that's the main problem, and that's what we faced. So coming back to the question finally, is if we raised money from Moldova. No, we didn't. We gave money to Moldova, actually. And we had a hard time getting our money together to do this film anyway. But we will fight on.
So I would like to introduce another guest, it's AaRC.ro, who is writing about movies as well, and who has participated in a lot of festivals, especially in the Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And maybe you could share with us also some impressions on how do you think co-productions, movie productions in this area function, and what's the result?
For 5 years, I'm working for Sarajevo Film Festival for the production market for Cinelink, and I'm also involved in other production forums in Trieste and collaborating with colleagues in other markets. It's all specialized in Eastern Europe and Balkans. Funding is the main problem, but it's also the problem of the institutions, not necessarily of physical life. My point of view, it's the problem of political decisions and the problem of getting people in one place, having a common voice, and making understand that this project, which is very expensive, is true, but it's one of the best elements in what you call cultural diplomacy. It's the highest, it's the best element that can help a country and the region at all levels. So definitely needs investment. In terms of Ukraine, I'm not very informed, that's true. In terms of Republic of Moldova, I'm very interested, especially because for Transylvanian Film Festival, we started this year to open up for Republic of Moldova, to open up for the Talent Club, and further on also for the project market and other activities as well. And I was having a question, because I know that they have a law for the cinema, and I know that on the paper the cinema fund exists, but physically I found out that it doesn't exist actually. So that's again, it's a political problem. They stopped halfway, and there should be a way how to help. For example, from your side, you are there and you are putting a lot of effort, so I'm sure that you are aware of this. And I know that they signed the agreement for the media, for the Creative Europe, but it's also halfway. It's also a bit of a problem, because they're not actually allowed to apply yet.
Short answer. Because we are from Austria, it's better to get money in Austria or other countries than to take the money of the real Moldovan artists, because we try to get our money from private sponsors or Austria and to keep it in Moldova for Moldovan instead of taking their money. But you're right, absolutely right. There's something to do. And that's what we intend to do because we're in Chisinau next week and then over here because I'm doing a lot of work in Chisinau. To try first to get into AaRC because that's the first step. If Moldova is into AaRC, there's a lot of money free to the Republic of Moldova and the artists there. Directors, actors, whatever, movies. That's always like this. In the first 3 years, the new country gets the money.
At the European level now, I mean, at the European Commission, part of the Creative Europe, they supported a series of funds that are strongly focused towards countries which are outside of the Creative Europe and outside of the Council of Europe.
Yeah.
And that's like the Sarajevo City of Film Fund or the World Cinema Fund or the type.
But the problem of Moldova is that no one says we want to get in. And this has to be changed.
No, that's just a matter of applying with the project, so you don't have to be part of that.
No, that's why
it's the money that
the Minister of Culture has to do it. That's the problem. So you have to tell him or her, right now it's a her, it's a she, to get into the program. So there's money, there's a lot of money. So that's what we try to do.
Personally, I think that entering the media program will give more benefits to the punctual producers and technicians and directors than AaRC. Because AaRC is giving money, but it's also, as a country, you have to pay. You have to contribute to the fund. So actually, this is the political decision that they have to decide that they will give, I don't know, I think it's according to the size of the country, an amount of certain thousands, hundreds of thousands of euro per year. And then this should be considered carefully because probably in the first 2 years it will be very few productions that will really have the co-production things in place as to work for applying. Then to get to have the AaRC money, plus this is coming at the end of the show, the kind of gap financing at the end of the financing, and the moment that you don't have a public funding in Moldavia, how do you put the rest of the money? This is 15% of the budget, and you have to prove at least 50% of the budget. So if you don't have a functional fund in Moldavia, how do you feel this? Because it's not enough that you have the Austrian or the German or the Romanian money. You need to have also proved the Moldavian money. This is one thing. But for media, for the Creative Europe component, of course there are advantages and disadvantages. And this I can share from my experience. Because I started working before Romania was member of the European Union, and then, of course, we entered and the conditions changed. So when we were not members of the European Union, we had access precisely to what Alex is mentioning, a whole pool of, let's say, Western European funds that are accessible only for the countries that are not yet in the EU. And there actually started the story of the Romanian upraise, because the Romanian artists, filmmakers, producers and directors started to apply to this kind of development fund. One of the important ones was Hubert Bals fund, the Dutch fund, that as well as the other one for documentary. No, it's next to it. Yeah, and also it's a J, whatever. Another one that is the same model as Uber Bus. So these were actually the first places where the Romanians were entering the gate towards who are these people and what stories, precisely what you were mentioning, what great stories, what a special place. Then the moment that we entered the European Union, we were very happy that we are part of media, and then we can get grants for all the training programs, and we can get support for development, and we can get support for distribution, and this and that and that. But all of a sudden, we were not competing with the creators from our sides, from our part of the world, but with the big ones. And it's precisely what you were saying, that when we apply for development funds with, I don't know, Lars von Trier or Haneke, even if it's Cristian Mungiu, it's still not the same thing. And if you are a young filmmaker, and Cristian Mungiu didn't have at that time, when we just entered the whole palmarès that it has today, it was different, and it needs to be really very, very strong in order to manage.
It multiplies with your image.
And this multiplies by your image, where it's a matter of money and power of project, and again, there they give to the project a cord of 15% out of the budget. So if it comes 3 Italians of 10 millions, 1 German and 2 French, and then Europa with the Scandinavian co-production. This is another part of the world where this kind of regional co-production is functioning like this. They have sister companies in the Nordic countries. They co-produce in between them, and it works. And they have the track record. That's it.
Yeah, the Norwegian are perfect in getting American money.
Plus,
yeah.
I'm not experienced in the fiction film, only in documentary, but the system of funding in Europe and in my country is similar. It's the same Creative Europe, and my very small experience in media program and Creative Europe was that of course, it is very difficult to get the old Europe money and to get in co-production with French or German co-producers. But several years ago, I made a kind of trick for maybe useful for developing country. I collect support from 7 different TV. From Polish TV, of course, and from Czech TV, from Croatian TV, Slovenian TV, and I apply for TV broadcasting, media broadcasting, and I collect several points. It's kind of system, and I get support from media. It is one of the way to break this barrier between rich and poor Europe. And another important point for this part of Europe, I mean Romania and Poland, for example, is to develop the origin system, and I mean the film business people working in Poland. We fighting for several years for the law system in Poland, and we achieve settle up the Polish Film Institute, and thanks to this system we can I think it works, and we can get money in the right for the right project, and we decide which project is get money and which not. And after several years, we can observe that the system works. People in Poland come to the Polish films, and Polish films achieve success in Europe. Małgorzata Szumowska get Berlinale Best Director prize, and I think it's an effect of this system. And the last trick maybe is to don't break between documentary and fiction. Especially for young people who learning film school, I understand you concentrate on the red carpets and Cannes and Hollywood Oscars, but if your first experience will be the documentary, it's very easier to get the small quantity of money, 10 times more or less than for the fiction film. You can achieve first step to your fiction career. For example, this year Oscar-winning Paweł Pawlikowski, he started from the documentary. Kieślowski, the famous Polish film director, also was one of the best Polish documentary filmmakers, and maybe it's a way for young filmmakers start this way to the fiction career.
What about the Ukraine model? How does it function? Co-production, funding, how easily can you work there?
Well, in Ukraine, as far as I can see it now, due to recent events, as you might know, there was a Maidan revolution last year. So now I see two main trends. Before Maidan revolution, there was a lot of activity in Ukrainian film, and this started with Ukrainian funding for film. There were quite a few new films made and released, and these were, of course, good films. But now, after this Maidan revolution and after Russian invasion, a big portion of that money that was previously allocated to film is now going to war. This is one trend that I see. The other one is raising public awareness about local content and about local, I would say, raising patriotism. And if before this revolution, there was always a struggle for Ukrainian film to get some audience, now it is becoming easier. For example, when we were doing a Ukrainian Film Week to support the case of Oleg Sentsov in Kiev and around Ukraine last autumn, there were halls of, packed with people who were really wanting to see Ukrainian local films, and this was very, very new and pleasant tendency. We have all the similar problems with Moldova and maybe some similarities to Romania, because all of the problems that you quoted here are all same in Ukraine. There was a fund, of course there is a fund now, Paper 2, and it allocates money to Ukrainian films, major Ukrainian productions, and but no ideas of reciprocity is there in this fund. They do not understand that it is what people expect from us, from Europe. This fund is managed by a new head, and this new head is only starting to understand the European system and what is expected, from Ukraine if we want to be on, on European kind of way of doing things. So, similar problems. We have some budgets, of course, but they are, of course, hard to get. We, of course, have a lot of paperwork to do, as everywhere, and of course, it's time-consuming and everything like that.
What about from the point of view of an actor, from an actress who works on co-productions, who participates in filming?
I don't know what to say about this co-production thing, because for me it's a bit far away from what I have to do. But for instance, I did a short recently in Chisinau, by the way, and my latest feature was a co-production between Turkey, France, United States, and Germany. So it was this long line of countries, and the director decided to choose actors from different countries, regardless of accent, and so nationality was not important. And for me it was interesting because it was really first time that I worked with people from so many countries, and we had we had to shoot in Turkey, so then most of the team was from Turkish, but also producers from Germany that were always with us, or assistants from Germany. But for instance, when we moved to the United States for shooting, then all the technical team was from there. So, and in Germany also. So this was interesting because we could see also not only, for me it was interesting not only from this acting point of view, because I had the chance to work with international cast, but also how technical teams from different countries has different approach. In the States, for instance, there were many people because they have this syndicate, I don't know, unions. So for every little thing, they had one person. So we had to work with this huge team of people, but they were very professional. I have never met so much professionalism at this level. When we went to Turkey, it was different. There were less people and they had different approach, but they were also good. Yeah, what to say.
Aș vrea să știu, în calitate de viitor proaspăt absolvent al facultății de film, în cazul în care noi avem un proiect, un scenariu, un treatment, ceva, dacă există vreo șansă pentru noi să intrăm într-o producție în colaborare cu o casă de producție în România sau ceva internațional, dacă există vreo oportunitate pentru cei ca noi.
So which are the opportunities for soon-to-be graduates of this School of Cinematography here in Bucharest? Alex?
One of the key elements for industry to develop is education and formatting. And further after the school, there are all sort of workshops and platforms to work on the project and then to meet peers. So for such a thing, it's also the Talent Lab in Transylvania, it's also the Transylvania Pitch Stop, which already closed the deadlines and everything, where you accept the treatment, you submit the treatment, you select the project, and then you go through a workshop, and after that you present the project in front of Romanian and foreign producers, so you can have a proper feedback and maybe hopefully find somebody who will jump on board your project. Of course, there is also the option you can knock on the doors of the Romanian producers. But I think that considering that we are, even though we are one of the biggest, we are seventh country largest in the European Union, I think. Still, we have a small industry, and there are not I mean, there are a lot of producers, very good producers, but not so many. So I think this kind of platforms and projects are a very good way of improving your work and filtering the way and to access the producers. And it's a good way of understanding and learning some things about how the European way and international productions are working as well.
Because I'm not really much older than most of you here. And for me, the whole discussion went at the end in the wrong direction, because everything the audience got here is you need money to make films, and if you're in Moldova, you don't get money. Excuse me, you can make films. Like this. You don't need, of course you need money to do big films or to do documentaries, you need a little less money, but what's the issue here actually? We are living now in the 21st century. We have so many channels in the media, like social media. We can connect to other people in the world and talk to them and make co-productions in China without going there. Yeah? We have to put ourselves together. We have to get together, talk, and distribute our opinions. And I think also you can send a plot to France, or you can talk with other students there. They have the same problem. I have the same problem. Look, nobody knows me, and I'm sitting here talking to you now. Yeah? Why am I sitting here and talking to you? Because I made a film that happened to be good, and for this documentary we did, it wasn't the biggest budget ever for a documentary, whatever, but we achieved something because we said, hey, fuck all them, we do it. Yeah? Just go out there and do something. Yeah? You need ideas, you need cool ideas. I did a music video recently, last October. It's called a band Rammelhof, and the song is called Vladimir Putin. You might know it from the Ukraine. We did this video with 3,000 euros, and it has now almost 900,000 hits on YouTube. Yeah? So of course money is important, but if you go your way and if you go on, the money will come. But first, the money only comes when people who have money see you actually have good things, or you did cool things without a big budget. So what I really want to say is, yes, you need money to do cool films, or to do Spider-Man or something like that, but let's face it, 95% of us sitting here will never do a movie like Spider-Man, or will get $250 million to do a movie like that, yeah? But we have Paranormal Activity, we have a Blair Witch Project and other movies, or even, you don't have to be in America, or in Germany, or England, or France, or blah, 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 to make good movies. And you need guys with ideas and a vision, a camera, a sound, and editing, and just do it. Go out there and do it, and then the money will come, and if not, it won't. But you can at least do something and don't get, how do you say, unmotivated or demotivated because we sit here and say, we need money. Huh? And the second thing is the topics of the movies. There's one saying, we have, for me as a young person, I'm 30, why don't I go in Austrian cinemas and look at the movie? Because I cannot see one more film about the Nazis or the Jews, and this time I have to throw up when I see this. It's so, of course you should remember this, but it's not up to date, it's not a cool topic. It doesn't catch me when I see it's another concentration camp memorial movie, I don't go there. Yeah? And the same, I think, is here, because you work about your Soviet past and blah, blah, blah. Let me quote Gene Simmons from KISS. He said, why doesn't balalaika, why is, for example, Madonna or KISS or pop music #1 in the charts and not Russian balalaika music or Austrian traditional music? Because it's not cool in this way. Most people don't listen to it. It's not a mainstream thing that's made for the masses, yeah? Because it's traditional and it's not something new, pep. So I think we have to maintain our traditions and our histories, but put them in a new modern package, and that's the way you can go crowdfunding and make a Russian balalaika music movie in the style of, let's say, searching for Sugar Man, yeah? Then you can make it cool and mainstream. But I think always these films where you see the ex-Soviets and the people suffering, and in Austria we were so poor, yes, but it's done. We have to look forward, and I think it's on us to do this, whether if we have $250 million for a movie or not. Yeah.
I will catch up on this because no, I completely agree that it's not all about money, but I think that there is about another thing. It is about networking, and here I will put the two things together: the virtual networking and the face-to-face encounter. So as an advice, how to do it, how to break through. The way I did it in the beginning was really to travel as much as I could to any events that were accessible one way or another. Here I was invited, and then it's something that is going on in my city or in Transylvania Film Festival or around or in Sibiu, in Astra for the documentaries. Take a break, takes 3 days, be there, try to participate, get to know people, see which are the trends, see what is selling, not in the proper sense of selling, what is interesting for the opinion makers, being them film programmers in festivals or people from the funds, and also go into the specialty literature, European specialty literature, blogs, virtual newspapers. There is this Europa, for instance, which is an industry magazine, and it's commenting the films and the big events and the trends and what's going on with the industry and who was selected in this and who was selected there, who got support for development, what's the subject of the next big name film, what kind of American star will play in this and that, but also what's the picture, what's the global picture. And then how to reach the Romanians, or how to reach the locals. I think Alex's idea is a very good one, to go and be present, especially in Transylvania Film Festival, where they have this special platform for this. Then, of course, for the shorts, not that I'm involved, but I think that next it's a very powerful, not even Romanian, but also international tool of promotion. Next, it's an international short and medium length film festival in Bucharest. There are then a couple of other events. The Experimental Film Festival, if you are going more into this direction, it's again a place where always there are very important opinion makers present in the jury as special guests of the festival, and you have the opportunity that you don't have in Cannes, Berlin or Venezia, being a smaller event, that they are much more free. So go for these smaller events, local, they are not so expensive. It's not so expensive to travel to Cluj as is to go to Cannes. That is really expensive. And try to meet these people and try to make yourself known. It is also a marketing thing, and I think that most of us started with an independent work. And the moment that you have something that you did with all the care, attention, and creativity, even with no resources, but you have something on table, then your next a bigger project will be read more carefully.
I will pick up shortly the following. Regarding what you were saying about doing your movie on your own and then using it and promoting yourself and building up for your career for next project. An example from a larger country like Italy, it's a project where I was involved, but I was involved very late in the project. But the director, he was completely unknown. He was from a very small village from South Italy, a region where, even though they are having some funds, but he was outside of the system. In Italy, it is a very specific way of doing cinema in terms of the industry. So he did his movie on his own with his friends. He managed to gather up some couple of thousands of euros, 15,000 euros, and he did a feature film. Then going in such an event where he met some people, and because of the story and because of his way of promoting himself in a very simple but very direct, because he was speaking about his own project, people jumped in. I tried to help. I went on board, then we found another person from another country, and we ended up having a production between 3 countries with no public money, only from private. We had the premiere in Calvary, we're in Beijing, we're in many countries, and now the director has a new project which is supported by the Co-Production Development Fund from France and Italy. And he's living in Paris, and he's spending his time with very high-profile producers which have an eye on him, on his project. I probably am not going to be on board on that next project, but for me, I just did that because that was important at that moment. That's one thing. And the other thing is, when I was in film school, I don't know why I had this idea that to be able to make movies they have 3 things that are very important, and you can't do one without. You have to see movies, you have to read books, and you have to meet people. One without, you can't do it. And then the other thing that I use is meet people when you don't need them. Because it's easier to connect with people, you talk about common things, you build up a strong professional friendship, and then without asking anything. But later on, when you have something, or you can ask, you don't have to ask for a favor, you don't have to ask for money, but you can ask for an advice, which sometimes is much more valuable. You don't have to spend all the time to introduce yourself, to pitch yourself, to win time, to gain trust and all these things. But you already have a gate open. And that person is going to be open for you.
I just wanted to say that it's nice to dare. I mean, especially from the actor's point of view, I'm trying to talk. If you are doing like you're making your first film or your first short or your first documentary, I don't know, something, and you like somebody, no matter how many awards he has or how far he went or anything, just go, ask. He might be interested in your project.
But if you want my advice, speaking from a guy at the same age, I also had ideas. I'm currently working on a project with the original Elvis Presley band, and I did filming for 1.5 weeks for free with my colleagues, well, professional camera guys for free, and I pitched this to big companies to give me money, and they didn't give me money. So what I do now, I just go on and look for it. If you have a trailer, and if you won't get the money, and if somebody comes up and takes away your idea, you have to face it. And if you one day have the opportunity, even if it's in 30 years, to fulfill this film, then it shall be in 30 years. But that's unfortunately the way it is, and you have to just get through this. That's just my opinion. But everybody does it the same, but that's just how it is. I think from 100 cases, 89 cases are unknown. In every country, I think.
There are more than 1,600 movies produced per year in Europe. So.
Out of God knows how many years.
Exactly. And that's, yeah, and without telling about those which were developed, so there were money spent on development, but they were not produced and so on. And out of those movies, how many we end up actually seeing. So, and that's only Europe.
From the point of view of producing, is there a preferred genre to be more produced? For example, animation movies are less produced maybe, or movies for children, because we also have this problem. I know from our experience from the French Institute Cinema that this is really hard to find good movies for children. We have, during the weekends, we have screenings for children, and we preferring to show European movies. It's really hard to find them. Which type of subjects are actually preferred for?
I have to say that I am a producer of a children's film, actually with a lot of music and a lot of dance and very entertaining children's film. And there was not much audience to such film locally, and not much audience to such film internationally. So you experience hardships to find this film just because there are not so many made. And why there are not so many made? Because there is not so much audience. Because there are so few people who are looking for this kind of films like you. Because generally speaking, the younger the audience, the harder it is to make a film for them. Generally speaking, you know, because the older you are, the less you understand what is the interest of the people who are younger. So, in terms of talking about genre or preferred genre, I would say that anything but the drama. If, like, from the point of view of a producer, if I would talk to soon-to-be filmmakers, I would say make a film of any genre other than drama. Because out of 1,600 films, 99% of them are dramas. And this is exactly what the audience in cinema theaters are bored of. They do not want to go and see one more drama with a lot of tears. And one more drama about whatever coming-of-age story that you have. No, they want to see fast-moving cars and love stories, romantic comedies. They want to laugh. They want to spend good time. So that's just my opinion about preferred genres.
In a recent survey around Eastern Europe countries was made. It was pointed out that the lack of audience in the cinemas on the pole position, and after that it was quite a big difference between the second position, was the content. Why they're not going to the cinema is because of the content. The second reason was marketing and then distribution and all this industry and all these talks that we have for many years. But the first one, and it was higher in 80% of the respondents, was content. And I'm speaking now especially for Eastern European movies, because Eastern European movies we have a problem of, and Austria, but Austria is sort of somehow part of Eastern Europe so many times. That's the issue. And the fact that Poland it's a happy case, because in the recent statistic is that on the top European movies watched in the European cinema, there is, among all the German, French, Italian productions, there is one Polish film. That's quite interesting to see.
I wanted to add, I don't agree about the drama, because I think what Alex said, first you need a story. The story is a good one. It can be a drama or a comedy or a musical comedy or an animation movie, whatever. But I don't agree perfectly that they're bored of drama. It depends how you present drama.
I can remember, like 1 month ago or something like this, two very young guys came to us, the French Institute, and we started talking. They wanted to promote a movie they have made. The movie is called TB. It will go now to Cannes.
It's not a... Here there is a limit, and here I'm getting really very irritated. They are not going to Cannes.
No, they are in the category of catalog.
Yeah, they are going to the market.
Yes, but it was really funny.
Because
No, it's not a selection. Yes.
for me in this matter is that the people that are breaking through and are really selected there are downgraded.
Yes.
And these guys, now I hear that they were invited by the president of Romania and they were congratulated by the president. There is a bunch of teenagers that are making now a festival for teenagers, films made only by teenagers. There are 100 subscriptions only for this year. So there are 100 guys like Phoebe and Mr. Iliuță that are doing cinema, and maybe there are 3 or 5 or 1,000. It's not such a big thing to make a film nowadays. And of course,
there are 20 movies in that
Yes.
yeah. So it's not really that they don't come.
No, they are
enthusiastic.
very enthusiastic. This is what I wanted to point out, that maybe some, I mean, from 28 such kids, maybe one will manage, and this is important that they all, yes. And they came and they were like 16, 17 years old, they are only in high school, but they are enthusiastic, and this is one of the things which I find very, very interesting. So it's not that they would do, they can't be considered on a par with Forum Boy or the other directors who will be present there and who were selected, but I think this kind of enthusiasm can give example to others who may have more talent but less enthusiasm and manage to do something in the future.
And more little movies are done with crowdfunding.
Yes,
So
this is the other example.
To get about 10,000 dollars or euro, whatever you need for a short movie or a low budget movie. So then you can doing your editing on your own computer, so it's much easier than 10 years ago. If you need a story. Story. That's what you need.
For example, how enthusiastic are the students in Poland?
Of course, if the author has no enthusiasm for his idea, how the people who has money believe for his idea. Of course, it's the first step. But I remember when I finished the film school and I was a young filmmaker, and I came to the meeting like this one, and there was a lot of young directors who complained for the problems with developing his ideas, his project, with the problem of censorship, with the problem of money, and etc. But on this meeting was very few about the real idea. I call this director with the problems, not with idea. And of course, I was very frustrated, and I tried to develop my idea anyway. Even the idea can be smaller. Everybody from my colleagues from the film school dreaming about Oscar, and I dream, of course, as a student, but just after finish the school, I tried to make documentary, and I prefer to make a documentary than dreaming about fiction film without fiction. And the step is a short step. It's the way of breaking the problems, and how many steps you managed to do and how far you went. It's depend on you, on your talent. I strongly believe it's true.
Well, draw some conclusions. We hope that we have offered also some ideas to those who have participated here. It's also to be said that through our project, through the unique project, we will also have a showcase in Moldova and in the Ukraine, and we want to perpetuate these kind of discussions, maybe to offer to the students from Chișinău and from the students from Kiev or from the Ukraine interested in working on movies, producing or directing, to find out some new ideas and to have a better perspective on how this is done in Europe. So thank you for coming, first of all, to our guests and to the public, and we will stay in touch and hopefully see each other in some months, maybe in Kiev or Chișinău. And thank you, and I wish you all good luck with your projects.